Hello, my name is Dennis Morelli, and this is my week 3 submission for the screencast thematic, specifically based off of the TED Talk by, what the heck is her name? Zeynep Tufekci. The main topic that was posed to us in the week 3 course was what are millennials most vulnerable to as far as data acquisition. Um, my subtopic is can we lose autonomy over our thoughts and actions based off of data driven nudges? Before I move on to slide 2, I just want to really be transparent that I might come off as kind of self-righteous during parts of this, and I want to openly admit that I personally contradict a lot of what I'm saying here in my everyday life, and I'm so please listen to this with the understanding that I uh, I see this as a problem, a real genuine problem, but I also am very guilty for being a willing participant in what I see is the probably the biggest threat to us uh, in this generation as far as data recording goes. So, slide 2, the most knowledgeable generation. I think we do have evidence that we have more access to greater amounts of information compared to any other population on Earth that has ever existed. Google and the internet are probably the biggest reasons for this, in conjunction with on demand television, 24-hour television, and the largest array of available media for consumption, as well as the ease of consumption. I think this also supports the fact that we are the most highly educated human population that has ever existed and the most well connected. And I think that communication is a real benefit to or from the technology advancements and the software advancements, where we can immediately access communication with each other all over the globe and help prevent a lot of social irresponsibility done, whether it's through political parties or uh, corporations or cries for help from natural disasters. Um, there's a lot that I think is negative about our interconnectivity and reliance on the internet and data collection, but there's also a lot of good things that come out of that. AI's impact. I think the biggest impact that AI has is the speed and the accuracy that it allows to generalize huge swaths of our population or even individuals. The accuracy that AI can sift through millions and billions of data points and then generalize all of those data points based off of their location, age, income level, gender, race, and a myriad of other identifying characteristics, it really happens faster than the general population or politicians or legislation can keep up with the consequences for. Um, this data can be farmed for any reason for anybody who is willing to pay for it, and it makes accountability difficult to track, and it makes legislation difficult to counteract that. The information is gathered and sifted through faster than we can keep up, and it really puts us as people in a unenviable position to try to create an independent life for ourselves whenever these giant corporations have access to so many things that they can anticipate um, our moves and our decision making. So another real terrifying aspect of this is the slow and deliberate way that it has crawled into our lives. So like probably all of you, I'm noticing a lot of small, unexceptional ways that AI and data driven responses have made their way into my life. AI has analyzed my outward thoughts and information to accurately predict my behavior, or my identifying information is used to automatically create a personalized list of topics to read and products to purchase and ads to view and opinions to absorb. So um, we've all had instances where the predictive text through Google search or an internet search, it actually fills out the box faster than we can get the thought out of our head. Or even if it's not the initial, it uses a few keywords and matches it up with a total population data recollection, and then sifts through and matches it with what we're thinking. And now that internet search bar is 2 or 3 steps ahead of us on where we're going in our thought train. And that's scary to me. I think that it can be leading, and it can be manipulative. Um, Another aspect of how manipulative that can be is that the computer generated collections of information and opinion pieces that are shown as search results can be really supporting or detracting to whatever topic we're looking at, and it's not easy to find an opposing opinion where you can make an objective decision based off of seeing an opposition and a supportive. So that it has the potential where we could be faced with having to fight to find factual information, and where the only information we get is narrative driven by the provider. And I think another aspect of this is the voice recognition power that is being developed. I have a Nest. I can control my air conditioning and my furnace and lights in my bedroom and living room without even touching a remote now. And I can, this Nest is simultaneously recording all of my living habits, and it's listening to it's not supposed to be, but it could potentially listen to all of the private conversations that I have in my living room, or whatever conversation that I would have with whatever loved one is here is no longer private information. It has the potential to be widespread. So even something as simple as me stubbing my toe on the coffee table and cursing like somebody just killed my dog, like that could potentially be damning information out there about my character. And in my mind, it would be completely taken out of context if it could be portrayed the wrong way. But I would have to fight that uphill battle based off of a recording that I'm willingly allowing in my house. So I think the main message there is that the devil doesn't show up with a red pitchfork, and I think that the problem is the subtlety. 20 years ago, if we would have said to our 20 or younger selves that we're being listened to constantly, and all of the information that we search for is being recorded, and all of the upcoming information that we view, most of it is suggested to us by some corporate entity that has recorded our previous searches. That's an alarming thing, but I think it's happened so slowly and deliberately that I have personally allowed it as an ingrained part of my life. And I think that the data that's gathered can be used to nudge and manipulate whether it's my thoughts or my purchasing habits, or my opinion on certain things, to fit a narrative that jives with whatever corporate entity is paying for that narrative to be told. So I think the tactful manipulation can really remove our intellectual independence, and that's a big problem. Especially in America, we view ourselves as a democracy, and with part of having a democracy is the ability to make choices for your life. And if those choices are being manipulated by corporate or political benefactors, then what kind of democracy are we really living in? So less influences equal louder voices. So part of what I was just talking about is mega corporations have always attempted to skirt monopoly legislation and unify a collective narrative. And if they gain that ability, then they can really control what we're exposed to as far as information. And with that control, even if there is an objectively wrong thing being done, with the amount of power that they will have over what information we see, we may not even be aware of it, or it could be spun in a direction where we genuinely think we agree with it. So Small numbers of huge companies become too powerful for competitors, and those competitors are either absorbed or eliminated, virtually denying any opposing messages. I think that goes pretty well with what I was trying to explain in the first point, but that's my biggest fear, is that we get to a point where I think we're getting pretty close to being there, where we don't have a choice in what we see and the information that we take in. And through acts like the FTC, specifically Ajit Pai, the chairman of the FTC, denying net neutrality, it allows corporations and politicians to justify the ownership of the internet, and the owners of the internet and the information that we see they can realistically only allow us to see the information they want. And if that means that there's atrocities being done, and whoever is committing the atrocity is friends with the owner or CEO of Comcast, and Comcast is your internet provider, then you might not know about 200,000 people being slaughtered in the streets in Ireland or whatever. We lose the ability to sift through the information ourselves and objectively analyze it and form our own opinions. So, I've talked about a lot of bad things that comes with data recording and how it could be used to manipulate us, but I do think that there are some real positive things that come along with that. So I want to bring those up where we get into is there a resolution, or should there be a resolution, and if this is a problem to fix. So when does the revolution begin, fellow anarchists? I'm not going to revolt against anything. I'm too lazy and I got too much going on. So I'm just going to continue to do homework and change diapers and go to work every day. But I do think that there's also a lot of positives to this data collection. I think that it leads to better products, healthcare, and innovations for other real-world problems. I think that customer satisfaction and corporate responsiveness is at an all-time high, and I think that the consistent interaction between corporations and consumers lead to better corporate social responsibility. So when corporations do something that we as consumers or a population, we deem it as socially irresponsible, they really have a lot more accountability to take quick, swift actions now. I think that's partly based off of just social opinion and internet opinions that consumers generate, but I think another part of it is based off of the data collection that they get and the drop in sales, essentially based off of their actions. So I do think there is a problem to fix, and I think that solution is on this next slide. Transparency is the key here. Thorough awareness is the key to preventing Big Brother. I think it must be a blatant, undeniable, transparent process where we're explaining that all data is being collected, by who it's being collected, and who it will be available to and for what purpose. I see awareness as the solution to my overly conspiratorial future, and I think the businesses that are doing the collecting should be responsible for making its unsuspecting data factories, us, aware that we are willingly handing over revenue generating information and what that information will be used for. This is probably overstepping or my solution is this message, or a version of this message, is portrayed on every single website and commercial and television show prior to you watching it, in a way that you cannot look and notice anything beyond this, and that it's just pounded into our heads that we are volunteering for this and that these are the people responsible for it. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can read it and edit it and send it to me or not, or think that it's a good idea or not. But I think that this is how we fix this, is saying that when you are participating and going to this website or making these searches, that you are being recorded. So, and that this is who is recording you, this is who they're going to hand it over to you, and this is who is paying for the recording and the data acquisition. So the plus side, We have awesome products and a higher exposure to greater diversity of solutions. We have pseudo-personalized products based off of data collected to support customers' wants, needs, and higher degrees of customer satisfaction. More responsive corporations